Hey guys, welcome back to the TCG Scrubs podcast. I'm Oscar, and today I am joined with by Joey, as usual, and joined with by Colin. What's up, Colin?
Pretty good at ARG Colin on Twitter. I'm planning out my third tweet, so be ready for that.
You should have tweeted during the ARG.
Yeah, why didn't you record or?
In hindsight, I probably should have.
Like,
I got there and I was filming stuff, and then I got super tilted, and you know how it is. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. Well, before we get into all of that, I do want to say thank you to Happy Little Hug Factory for helping sponsor a lot of things we do on the channel, as they help sponsor with many things. And if you guys have extra cards or you're looking for some singles, definitely check them out. They have a Buylist as well as caster and Force of Will singles, depending on what you're looking for. Link in description down below. Make sure to go there so that they do know that we send y'all over. And special thanks to our patrons.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, be on the lookout. I assume at some point pretty soon we'll start putting up pre-orders for the next Caster Chronicles set, which I'm super excited for. If you guys are following my weekly spoiler videos, they introduced deities and stuff like that, which are really pretty looking cards and stuff. Apparently it's very similar to something in Yu-Gi-Oh, but or is it Magic? I forget. Doesn't matter. But super cool, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, that's true. And I forgot, there's some pre-orders should be coming up soon for the new set and new starter decks as well. So keep an eye out on all of that. And then thank you to our patrons for everything they do for us. We have our podcast equipment always upgrading, and I found out our podcast is on different platforms that I guess I wasn't aware of 100%. I knew we were on iTunes and Google Play, but yeah, we have like stuff on other podcast platforms. I'm not sure how those got there.
It's probably like in the terms of conditions, like, hey, I'm gonna go on iTunes, and iTunes is like, if you press accept, we also will branch this out to these other platforms.
Well, I kind of thought that it was probably the same term and conditions, but with SoundCloud instead, and that's how we're kind of over different places. But thanks to our patrons for helping get us kind of everywhere for everybody to listen to. And if you want to become a patron, make sure to visit patreon.com/TCG.
We just sent out, or we're about to send out?
About to send out tomorrow.
Yeah, we finished the playmat giveaway, so I'll be shipping that out tomorrow as well. I'll accompany Oscar. They chose the 2-player Easter ARG playmat, if I remember correctly, so good on them. I wasn't going to use that, although I do want Oscar's playmat.
Yeah, as soon as I got that, he was all over it, trying to weasel some sort of negotiation into getting that playmat, and which was hilarious. But yeah, Colin, tell me, how did the ARG go for you? I helped judge, and you played. So how'd that go?
It went pretty good. So I ended up going with my Pando TK deck, which I'll have a deck profile up. If it's not already up, it'll be up later this week, as well as gameplay and different things like that. But the deck itself ran really well. Essentially, what happened, you can see it. We filmed a vlog, which will go up sometime, I assume, next week. Unless it comes up this week, which I probably will go into detail as well. But I essentially did good. I went against Keurig game 1 and had some of the worst draws of my entire life playing Panda, and so I lost game 1 and then lost game 2 against Keurig, and I was like, that kind of sucks. And so I went to game 2, and was it game 2 or was it? I'll just say game 2 was whenever I played against another ruler that I won against. Yeah, I played against a Scarlet deck, which was kind of cool. Pandas actually does pretty well against Scarlet as far as the J ruler, so I was able to win against that one. Went against Time Spinning Witch next, and that one is when I realized one of the reasons that I might have lost against Keurig, and what would be the reason I lost against that is I had forgotten. I was in a rush. I had the deck built technically. I had not built a side deck mainly, and had not checked over my deck. So I got to the ARG and put the side deck together and wrote down the list like as quick as I could and all that stuff. And I realized playing against Time Spinning Witch and her doing her lockout and all that I did not put Lorites into my deck or side deck. And that's when I realized that I had messed up. And Loras would have been helpful against Kirik, but mostly against Time Spinning Witch. Time Spinning Witch game 1 got her down to 2 health while I was at 36 health. And then she got the lockdown, so I couldn't recover 2 turns in a row and just nicked me down to 0. So that was a thing. And then game 2 was similar. I didn't get her down to 2 health at that time, but I had the complete combo set up to, as soon as I untapped, to swing in for game, and just never untapped. So, yeah, so that sucked a lot, and then I ended up winning my next game after that. So I went 2-2, and yeah, I was pretty bummed out because the deck was running extremely smoothly with the exception of the Kirik game, and consistently, and if I had those Lorites in, that would have been the extra bump I needed to pull out probably into the top 8. So I was pretty mad at myself and pretty bummed out because I 100% feel like I would have made it into top 8 if I had remembered those freaking Lorites. But yeah, so that was my day. Huh?
Colin's hate for these cards is growing.
Yeah, well, I can get on that. Yeah, Oscar?
Well, for me, I judged the event. Just was watching players, watched Colin play some of his games, but walked around mostly. Watching top 8 was very impressive. Like, you could tell all those guys had practiced like the crap out of their decks. One of them, I remember the guild player had said that he, leading up to the event, played 3 weeks straight of just that deck, constantly playing against every matchup he could. So he knew the ins and outs, everywhere he needed to go. Like, he didn't stop to read a card to remember what it did. He knew what they did. So watching top 8 was very impressive. Like, I would have never had a chance, like, even going against those guys.
Yeah, that's the thing about Gil is that I've said is I think Gil is really good, but the amount of, like, knowledge of your deck and effort is, like, a lot higher, I think, than almost any other deck in the game currently. Because of how it works. So I'm glad that it looks like he at minimum realized that and that he had to really get that down pat. And so that would have been cool to see because once the Gil fires off and you know what you're doing, it looks really cool.
Yeah. Everything was just impressive. Like the Kirik players, the Gil players, just being able to watch, like I said, the guys play. If I had ever made top 8 with the Shayla deck I was planning on taking, like I would have had no chance about these guys. Like it was funny though watching some of the gameplay. Like you can tell when people were nervous because their hands would shake or they're trembling. But
nice.
but yeah, I was just really impressed. These guys came from all over the state. Like from Austin, it was pretty embarrassing. We had 4 total players from Austin. I was one of them judging. You had people from Amarillo, Dallas, San Antonio.
You guys had 22 people, right? Because I don't know if you'd mentioned the amount of people that was.
Yeah.
But they just came from all over, and they really knew their decks inside and out, like to a point where I wouldn't have been prepared. I had never played the Shayla deck, but I was planning on playing it there, which we could have seen how that would have played out.
I mean, it works for on the ARG side because ARG it's not like a weekly thing or anything like that. So if we're able to those people come out every ARG, that'd be golden, and it would slowly grow over time, especially with Valhalla coming out, where players will come back to the game, and if just 2 people from each city starts playing, that's an extra 6 people next time, and we're about to hit 30 then next time around just by not doing much at all. So I think that's a overall good sign that there's especially that dedicated of a base.
Yeah, I think exactly. Yeah. Like I think it's interesting that like a lot of so many people decided like, hey, I'm gonna drive like 2, 3, I don't know how far away the other place is, but like like Houston to Dallas, or Houston and Dallas are like at least like 2 hours away. So like it's very cool that like you actually had people wanting to play enough that they were gonna get that like Oscar. Like I don't even think you were expecting a lot of people, Oscar.
No, like by the way, I looked it up, in Amarillo's about 7-hour drive. But no, like last ARG we had was actually 2 ARGs ago, and that's when we got the Dark Alice mat. But that one we only had 8 people show up to, and so everybody kind of got mad. We did a top to cut 4, so I was really worried going to the next one because the next one was a mix up. We got the Easter play kit, but we weren't supposed to. But the very next one, which is this one, I didn't know who was going to come. There's RSVPs, there's people saying they're going to show up, but we didn't really truly know what the numbers were going to be. So I was kind of worried, kind of get into it. And it was supposed to be an event that was originally best of 1, but went to best of 3. But I mean, everybody was just pumped to play. They were, excited. Everybody was in a really good mood. It's not too many crazy judge calls or anybody getting too cranky. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
It looked real cool.
Yeah, and it was nice because everyone, like you said, was excited to play. And I don't think anyone dropped by the end of the day. Everyone just kept playing and stuff, which was really cool.
I did expect some people to drop. Like, I thought maybe... I mean, it was only 4 rounds. So it wasn't anything crazy. Like, I guess people could easily just play that out. It's like one more round than normal locals. But, I thought we'd have enough to drop and do like a side thing of like a draft, like a pod draft. And but no, that never happened. Everybody played it through, and they gave their best.
Maybe everyone was like 1 and 2 going into the final game, and like man, if I can get 2-2, maybe I'll be able to make top 8. Like,
it was only 4 rounds, but each round went well past time. So that's a minimum of about 4 hours that day went before cutting to top 8. So how did you? Good.
Did you have any like judge calls, Oscar? Or
I had a few. There was one that I was unsure on, and it was for the guy who ended up winning the whole thing. I don't even remember what the call was, to be honest with you. So I'm not even gonna try to remember, but in the end, it didn't matter because they were already on turns, and it was going to a draw. It was a 1-1 draw, and the call, no matter what was made, would end with the same result. But I tried to be on it from that point on. The only other slip up I had was letting top 8 players look at each other's lists for who they're playing against. I didn't do it on the initial round, but I did it on the following round, which was, like I said, my bad. But other than that, everything else went pretty smoothly. Some simple interaction questions, and kind of surprised some people didn't know how certain things worked. One of them was somebody was playing Millium, and so you put a resonator in, and it has force roll, and so they played that Dragonoid guy who force rolls to determine his number, and then in response, the opponent was going to burn it for 5. And so there's a question of like, wait, doesn't he gain the force roll first before the burn? But no, the opponent responding to the force roll to burn it, to kill it before the force roll game. Yeah. So it was like simple stuff like that.
But I mean, to be fair, the stacking of how that works, I can see how they think it maybe enters the field with a force whirl versus enters the field and then force rolls. I can see how there could be a little confusion there. But yeah, you did several judge calls. I feel like I saw you going around a couple times. So.
Oh yeah, that was Ben and stuff. So Ben kept having me come over because of his mobilize mechanic stuff and trying to figure out how things worked. I forget the rest. I don't remember too well. A lot of them, just that one. If I remember more later, I can bring them up. But yeah, there's a few calls. It wasn't nothing crazy. Nothing like it was too difficult. Two of the same ones I remember now was Time Spinning Witch's activate ability to produce time well. Melissa was trying to lowride it on her opponent, and then somebody else was trying to lowride it on their opponent. It's like you can't respond to it type situation.
Yeah, I mean you could technically play lowride, but just doesn't.
Yeah,
nothing happens.
For Time Spinning Witch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that because
it's a will production ability?
Yeah, it's will production ability.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those don't use the stack, right?
Right.
Okay. Correct.
But
you're doing good, Joey.
It went great. I was super pumped, especially when our store owner Lauren, she went to go start grabbing the playmat. She's like, "Here's your playmat. Here's your pin." I'm like, "Oh, cool." The judge ones, and that's when Colin's like, "I want that." And I was like, "I don't know. We'll see." And I went to go put it in my backpack, and as I'm putting it away in my backpack, she comes, "Oh, and here you go," and gives me a Wednesday Omnis Moon Booster box. I was like, "Oh, thanks." I didn't even know I was going to get this. This is crazy. I just pushed away my bag. I'm like, all right, well, let's get back to judging, I guess.
What was the
Mm-hmm.
what was the like ruler combination for the top 8?
Well, first of all, ruler breakdown.
Ruler breakdown, whatever.
Ruler breakdown was
Trying to
of the
remember.
22 players. We had 3 Scheherazade, 3 Aimul, 3 time-spinning witches, 2 Gil Gifted Conjurer, 2 Kyrix. And then the one-ofs were Tigris, Ciel, Gil Alhamat, Duskgirl, Feyre, Rhea, Ayu, Millium, and Pandora.
Wow.
So that was our spread. And then
That's a fun spread.
into top 8, we had 2 Sherrys, 2 Kyrix, 1 Gil, Aimul, Ayu, and Feyre.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I would have liked to face some of those rando decks. Would have been kind of fun.
Yeah. I got to see
but,
some of them. Like the Dusk Girl was it Dusk Girl? No, Gil Hamat
Scarlet?
was Umar combo, which was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. I feel like, see, I really liked the Umar combo that you were gonna do, Oscar, with Shayla, and I thought it was interesting the Umar combo with Scarlet as well. I thought those two were both like interesting takes on it as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Umar combo with Scarlet sounds interesting because like it's really easy to discard and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're getting benefit out of the discard as well by
Which,
burning shit.
if you check out our vlog that recently came out on Saturday of our console GP, Colin goes over that because he played against that while there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a pretty cool vlog. Had some pretty good music.
There was one where I found a song and I was like, I kind of like this song, but it doesn't fit in this vlog. I'm gonna throw it in anyways. It's that falling in love.
Was
one.
it? Yeah, I was listening. I was like, Oscar, you trying to tell me something? Jeez.
But no, I really liked that. I was just like, I have to add this. Like, I found it. And I was like, I can't pass it up.
Yeah.
So, by the way, when it was originally timed, there's a lot more clips showing top 8, and I was like, well, that's a little weird. Let me just position it to where it shows like the St. Louis Arch. So I was like, yeah, no, I love you, thank you, bye.
But yeah, no. It. Did you have any other thoughts or concerns on the ARG, Joey?
Did you say who the top 8 was?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
We'll do it again.
I was
Ready?
paying attention.
2 Sherrys, 2 Kyrix, 1 Gil, Aimul, Ayu, and Feyre.
Okay.
He is satisfied.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I kind of knew all about it. Well, a little bit, like off and on. So I was doing it for the viewers. Okay.
Yeah, I got
Doing it for the views.
It was funny though, because when top 4 was playing and it was Gil versus Ayu and Keurig versus Keurig, everybody was just watching Keurig versus Keurig because it was just like fast paced, like da da da. Okay, this, that, burn, remove counters, tap, sack pig, recover, tap, green counters again. It was just really awesome.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, I felt kind of because when I was playing against one of the people, they weren't going slow or anything, but they're doing the whole thing of, all right, do my untap, check that this is clear. Is that clear? Okay, I'll move to my like very exact and everything, and go to my turn. I probably shouldn't, but I would just leave my ruler tapped so I could just like, all right, call on a stone, so I don't have to untap and tap it again, and be like, all right, tap 3, just gonna play this card. That good? All right, and I was just going through my stuff like super like casually, especially if like he was tapped out of stones, like can't respond or anything like that. Then I would just like buzz through. But even if I was completely tapped out, he would like go through every phase exactly and stuff.
I feel like that's what you should do, but also, like not even untapping your ruler, Colin. Come on, like.
Well, yeah, but
it
gets boring after a while.
You know, I found I don't do it anymore either.
Yeah.
You know what? But you know what? You know you'll, and it's giving away like I guess watching what I'm doing when I'm playing, but I don't untap it anymore. But I untap it if I'm playing on Judgmenting. So it's kind of a giveaway. You're like, oh, Oscar recovered. He's probably gonna judgment.
You'll know if I'm thinking of judgmenting, because even if I'm doing that, I'll either like leave it tapped and call stone, or I'll untap and then immediately tap and call stone, because I do it right on the offset. Oh, and the only time I don't is if I'll untap and I'll like sit there for a sec, like looking at my hand, like, and And then I'll either play a card and then judgment, or play a card and then just call a stone. But you'll know I'm like, if I didn't judgment that turn, I'm probably for sure going to judgment next turn. What, Jay?
I don't remember what I was gonna say. Oh, I don't really know why like you had to play fast calling, because like I feel like your deck is fast enough to where like you're gonna get all your games done in time anyways.
No, if I lose game 1, then I'll want to go quickly for game 2, because if I win game 2, then I want to make sure I have time to win game 3, essentially. Especially after what happened at the GP, I want to make sure I have time.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what was exciting that happened on one of the rounds? I think it was round 3 when it happened, or 4. Somebody final judgment to time spinning Witch and Kaguya, and reset.
I heard that. They were still on game 1, and they were like 40 minutes in, and then he did the judgment to reset the game.
I was like sitting right behind him. I was sitting down for a minute, because I was standing the whole time, and I hear tap 10 judgment, and I was like, what? Even his opponent's like, whoa, are you serious right now? You're gonna bring Kaguya out and reset the game? And they start shuffling up.
Yeah, he was like, I'm at 200 life, so might as well.
And it was funny because there's 3 time spinning Witch players. I think they all came from San Antonio, and they're all kind of work together. And you can hear one of the other ones like, "Are you serious? Did you just judge me?" And he's like, "I had nothing else to do, man." So yeah, it was just hilarious.
That's so funny. What was I gonna say? Oh, because I remember like when I was doing my our ARG back in the day, like my deck was like I'm pretty sure I was finishing first in
Joey always finishes first
rounds and stuff.
No, Joey was finishing pretty quickly, because I remember I was playing and was probably only like turn 3 or 4, and like Joey walked up to help judge call a call that was made on me, and I was like, "What the hell, Joey? You're done already."
yeah. I remember. I feel like 1 or 2 people mentioned oh, like that was like really fast. But so I don't know.
Yeah. I guess there's not too many podcasts that go without us talking about Zero Bomb, right?
I was trying to be relatable, because I don't know. I feel like Colin shouldn't be rushing anything when he could make a misplay or get
but
a
see,
judge call on him and waste more time.
There's no, there's not gonna be a judge call on that, but there's a balance of the deck can technically be stifled, where I have to wait a certain amount of time, especially if I have a certain draw, to judgment, for example. Ideally I want 4 light gems at minimum, and maybe 1 darkness gem and or a blue gem. 3 light gems I can get away with. So if I have 2 light gems, I'm not going to judgment until I get that last gem. And so that happened with one of the games where I just had 2 light gems and a dark gem, and just took me forever to find some sort of card to generate that last light gem I needed before judgmenting. And so because of that, I need to play a little bit slower, but just to make sure I do math right, to block enough damage so that I survive long enough to judgment. But I also want to go through the phases quick enough that I know aren't going to be responded to and stuff like that. So it's this sort of balance thing.
And I think it's definitely a good... It's because if you're playing a controlled deck, if I was playing Time Spinning Witch, I would just be trying to get through phases and shortcut as much as I can, and and make sure I know what I'm doing, sure, but turns need to be fast because it's your control deck, so you're winning games later. So it's definitely it's definitely helpful to have a faster deck to where you don't need to worry about time as much.
Yeah. So we got a interview, I think, Oscar.
Yeah, I should have led with that in the beginning.
Yeah.
But we do have an interview with the second place runner-up at the Melbourne GP in Australia. Is it Misha? And we recorded the call earlier today in the morning. Me and Colin. Joey wasn't there. Joey. Yeah. But no, it's a very interesting call or interview. Kind of get his opinion on some things. So something I was going to ask Joey, because I guess we haven't talked about what Joey is. Did you see the new Valhalla website?
No, I didn't.
Do you not look at anything Force Will anymore, Joe?
Yeah, right?
Everybody was talking about it nonstop Saturday. But
I
they
was busy.
so something I'm going to bring up now that's addressed in this that was recorded earlier in the day is they fixed the language. They fixed all the errors, it looks like.
Yeah, for the most part.
Because the one line I think I was reading was about the counters. There's many cards that plays +1/+1 counters. Oh no, it's still here. What happened? I don't know.
I'm telling you, you're turning translate on. You have to press no. Like it keeps trying to translate for me when I enter the website, and I keep having to tell it no.
Well, then disclaimer.
But
now that you guys know that,
it's still very obviously written by someone who isn't like just some of the wording. Like I was just looking like his cards feature many flying resonators that are difficult to block. Like one, that's superfluous. Of course, they're flying; they're difficult to block. But like the wording should be like his cards feature many resonators with flying or something. Like I don't know. Like it's sort of that sort of blocky type of talking that it's still sort of like all right. Okay, I guess you don't have anyone named Jeff that works for you or anything.
Either way, I think I over exaggerate how bad it truly is compared to like what Colin just said. I have auto translate on, so when you hear that, now you understand it. You don't have to comment below that you guys are doing it wrong because we recognize it already.
There was some pretty bad stuff before that they fixed.
So something I want to talk about real quick, and Joey, I guess don't say too much. I'm gonna leave it kind of open ended, kind of Colin's not that far. I thought it was funny that on the Chamimi resonator or ruler, whatever this is, that it says when it finishes a phrase, it ends it with me. And in Doctor Who, near the end of season 3, there's a creature that when it says a sentence, it ends it with do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, look at that do me Ray. But that was funny.
First off, do re me, get out of here, Oscar.
Did I say it wrong?
It's do re mi fa sol la.
See, I didn't do choir stuff.
It's not choir. You just had to watch The Sound of Music.
I never watched that.
You're weird.
Am I weird? Guys, comment below if that's weird for not
randomly.
Watching. No.
It's like random knowledge. You should probably know. Where is this website? By the way?
I just linked it in Discord.
You just linked it.
Oh.
But, if you guys are listening, fow-valhalla.com.
Yeah. Make sure your auto translate's not turned on, guys. You know, go. But anyways,
we'll move into that interview.
We'll go into the interview, and then we'll come back real quick at the end with Joey and just get his thoughts on it. Okay, so now we're actually joined in with the podcast with Misha. Misha, how are you?
Good.
And for those who aren't familiar with you, do you want to fill us in on who you are?
Yeah, so basically, my name's Misha. I play for Team Quickcast in Australia. I've currently known for top 8 a couple of GPs. That's pretty much it. Participated in 2, top 8 in both. Yeah. That's pretty much me. So.
And you played second, right, or the second or third in the most recent
second. GP? Yeah, second. So just short of winning the top spot against Damien.
Yeah.
Came really close.
Is there a lot of competition in Australia?
There's quite a bit. There's a few teams that we have. So one of our top teams is Quickcast. Then we have a team called Team Pop. They're pretty good guys. That's actually one of the guys. A few of those guys are versed to get to the top 8. There's also Team Not Nice. That's probably the 3 major teams that are participating in Australia tournaments at the moment. Yeah. There's also plenty of other good players, of course. So probably not as fierce competition as in US and Europe, but still enough of a scene to get through.
No, I got you. And how long have you been playing for? Force of Will?
Force of Will. I think I've started in Grim. That's when I first started in Grimcast. And when it first came to Australia, I was sort of like, I picked up the game and I got a few of my buddies into it. And then from then on, sort of just continued love. I took a bit of a break in Lapis, though. I didn't play during Priscilla Fox meta. So
yeah, a lot of people avoided that.
That's fair.
Yeah, I was like, sweet. didn't miss anything. That's good.
That's awesome. Colin, you have any questions?
I don't know. So what? I'm looking at the recent GP. So you played. What was your sort of? You ran Sherry. What was the version that you sort of went with?
So we tested. I mean, prior to the GP, we tested a few Sherry lists. We basically tested the white, we tested the blue, we tested the normal greenback variant. That first appeared in ARG at the beginning of the season. Looking at the columns of the results, as we got it just the week before the weekend before our GP, we saw the list and we saw, I'm not sure what the name of the guild was, and he ran a red Sherry list, and we sort of liked the look of it, but we always just dismissed it as a bit of a, random list that we're not really interested in. We took out a house before the GP with the team, and then we did quite a bit of testing, and we actually found Valentina to be absolutely insane in the mirror. Having that 4-drop resonator to be able to just come in, exile something, you have an basically unchaseable graveyard exile, it broke the mirror basically. You having that single resonator is what basically pushed you over the top of other Sherry decks with just the normal red-green variants, and black-green variants and stuff like that. Not to mention the matchup against blue was really, really good as well, because all their Millennium Bonds and out counter spells were just basically dead cards.
Yeah.
We played such a resonator heavy list. So we settled on the red, probably 2 nights before the GP, tested a few other matchups, make sure we had a good solid sideboard, and basically went from there.
I was curious about out where you're at in Australia. How's y'all's locals? Do y'all have like a consistent, do you actually get to go places to play, or do you just play amongst your team and your friends?
As of recent, with the Sherry winter, it's becoming more difficult to try to introduce new players into the game. I feel we're trying to test, a semi-competitive deck sometimes. We sort of have a little semi-rule in the locals to not play the top deck, something that just gives you the new experienced guys will be like, oh, this is just complete nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
So we do have a locals. We do fire pretty much every Wednesday. A couple of the guys who play a little bit more down south, they have a different place. That we probably have 2 or 3 places within our Brisbane. I say Brisbane, but it's like 3 hours long Brisbane, so you can sort of. So they have a couple places to play in as well. It's not a great scene. Like we get maybe just enough to fire, maybe like 8 or so people, but never really more than that. So it's a small community, but still enough to keep the events rolling. But yeah, majority of the time we test on untap. There's a bit of a rolling theme where I just simply put untap with a question mark, and everyone knows what I mean. So
I would say I always see a lot of players on untap. It's a big community on there.
So do you think that you said you get about 8 players, enough to fire, but that Sherry is Sherry like making it so that you would have more than 8 players if Sherry wasn't a theme?
It's if everyone was playing Sherry, I mean it's not really a casual ruler, if that makes sense. It doesn't really promote you to do a lot of fun. The theme of the Sherry deck, if you want to take from the fun perspective, I feel it's just dolls, which is kind of a cool thing, just like you have vampires, werewolves, and other things in other card games, or even Force of Will. But it's not really something that a lot of players drawn to. They might play like the Imel, probably a very good example of a very fun casual ruler. It's still really strong, but it's not the same strength. It doesn't have that sort of how to explain. It doesn't have that sort of feel of. Sherry has this feel about her that she doesn't really imply fun. That's probably what it is, and that's why a lot of casual players. So that's why I think if we didn't have Sherry, maybe it will be more fun because it'll be naturally more diversing, and people didn't feel like we need to cut one of the rulers out to actually play the game for fun. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So talking about cutting one of the rulers out, when Conville happened, obviously a lot of talk happened about emergency ban, and we haven't seen it. And obviously, since we haven't seen it, I don't think we will see it. Do you feel there should have been one?
Emergency ban for before Collinsville?
Yeah, well,
after
Collinsville. Right after Collinsville, it was a lot of talk after that. So I want to know 2 things. One, do you believe there should have been one? And 2, how much would that have affected you guys had it been immediately after Collinsville? Because you guys were the following weekend.
I'll probably be very excited if there was a Sherry ban, like personally. It would be very exciting to, because obviously going to a GP, like if you want to perform well, you play the top deck. You play a variant if it's the other variants, and so on. Like, of course, there's some wiggle room sometimes, depending if there's a couple top decks, like the Priestly Fox meta. I believe, like you choose out the Priestly Fox and you lose to the other decks. But I don't think Sherry herself needed a ban. The reason for that is because while it sounds really silly, but I do feel like a Sherry pilot and a Sherry deck is very skill intensive. Like especially the mirror is very skill intensive. A single mistake is where things will actually turn for the favor of one opponent, like missing low writing the wrong trigger, for example. Seems very innocuous to the whole match, but actually that could be the loss and win for your whole match. So I really like the dynamic of the mirror. However, having it to be such a huge part of the meta, like having a sample size, I mean, Colin Seal wasn't too bad, but it was like 26% or something like that.
Yeah.
But with our GPs, I think it was about 35 or 40%. So that's pretty bad. I think if the decks is hitting 40% consistently, you should be banned. So from my perspective, I like Sherry and I like playing the mirror. I think it's very fun in skill-intensive matchup. But for the benefit of the game, I did wish it was banned, probably. And if it was banned, oh my god, I would be, the floodgates would just open so many different decks. I might even end at that IML deck that top 8 as well.
Yeah.
That was pretty. I versed that one. That was pretty intense. It got me really good fried, because when you test Sherry mirrors in the house, you don't really think about that random IML deck that's gonna like hit you with enchantment, and you're gonna be like, "What do I do now?"
Yeah, no, I saw Colin playing his IMO deck when we were testing, and it really is impressive. It works really well.
It does. I drew with that deck because probably partially because I didn't exactly know what my game plan should be. I mean, I understood like to wipe the board a few times, but even after doing that, he kind of refills his hand with all the resonators, so it doesn't really do the job. So, but maybe I would have had the deck.
Yeah, IMO was really fun. I think both the competitive and non-competitive version of it is pretty fun. Yeah, no, and I think that Sherry is kind of cool with the mechanics and is a pretty fun ruler. I think where it gets hurt is the power level is just a tad too high for the story cards. Like the idea for the story cards is cool, but like their cost to benefit ratio would be good inside of a main deck, let alone a extra 5 cards in your starting hand. So I think that's where it went astray. Otherwise it would have been like a cool little flavorful addition that probably would have still seen competitive play, because it's got the story cards, it's got the quick cast, it's got the flip to populate the field and bounce. Like it's got everything needed to make itself a good ruler without having quick cast speed story cards.
I think one of the team members from your team, AIG team, when you did the little interview, I think he summarized it very well. Sherry is beatable. It's not unbeatable. Like not like previous meta where you found the Sherry basically was like this deck that just did everything, and it was basically like it felt like a reflective refrain in a way that it's just like you run a deck, if you want to win a GP, it's going to be Sherry. Like other decks have a chance now. However, it just does too much to not take to a GP. It's too versatile and too many matchups. That's really it.
Yeah.
Well, and the two problems with it is, I don't think as far as like, yeah, it's beatable, but I think a Sherry deck in the hands of a good competitive player, I don't think is technically beatable against most decks.
That is true. I mean, like I mentioned, the way you win the mirror is the opponent making a mistake. So that tells you that if you play your deck perfectly, ideally, assuming you have a perfect matchup, let's say if I'm playing red and you're playing blue, I am favored to win because of my resonator, and you're not favored to win because of your millennium bonds. So due to that, at some point the matchup will break into me hitting you for face really hard. So that's basically works out.
Yeah, I think like, even if the deck is beatable and all that, the problem we're going to run into, especially right now, is I think it's stifling. Well, it's stifling the creative part of the GPs and all that, but it's stifling the lower communities, like the locals and stuff like that. And that's the biggest problem I see, especially with the game as precarious as it is right now. It needs to. I think a ban would be helpful just for the overall health of the game, and then you can bring it back in maybe next cluster, maybe the rune system just blows Sherry out or something like that. You could bring it back, but just for the creativeness of the community as a whole, it is probably good just to ban it for now until we can bounce back. Maybe it's just stifling creativity enough that no one can think of something. So if you take it out of the equation for just a couple months and then bring it back, it it just won't match up to all the decks that have been created or something.
That's the hope. I mean, like the last thing we want to see, of course, to going to Valhalla is that you have all those 10 rulers with different grim runes and the Valhalla cards, and then Sherry still ends up to being the dominant deck. That's just like that's a complete nail in the coffin. Speaking of that, we are actually in our locals. We're going to the cluster format immediately, pretty much. So as of this coming Wednesday, it'll be the cluster format as well. And there's instantly the discussion that was dead in the chat for a long time, and suddenly people are like, yeah, I would like come along. I'll build a deck in cluster format. I thought people would be really annoyed, not because we don't know if dual stones have been reprinted, so we sort of like toying with the idea of keeping dual stones for the purpose of having a bit of more fun, or keeping it out to make it a very diverse sort of deck building. But then Kira Kinshela, I feel might be a bit too strong there. But yeah, we're going to cast it because for the same reason. It stifles creativity, because if you verse a Sherry deck, even at your locals, you just and this salty thing in your mouth that you can't do anything about it, like you just lose.
Would you like to see the dual stones reprinted?
Yes and no. For personal preference, a person who says folders and folders and folders of black blockboard dual stones and old dual stones for my personal gain, I want them to be pushed aside for like shock stones or anything like that. Anything that will give them value and give them actual like incentive for people to purchase the dual stones. So they, instead of paying $2-3 for the CFC's dual stones, they'll actually be $10 at some point.
Yeah.
For the health of the game, I feel like we have a few too many. Like with having the counter stones and the dual stones, we have a few too consistent of a mana base. So while I want the dual stones to be back, I want them in a different format. Basically any way besides just some sort of a punishment for running dual stones, even if it's a simple shock, if it's like the counter thing, anything. But the simple dual stones having such consistency, it's not really necessary anymore. I feel like people sort of got, but then people got really comfortable with using them, so maybe taking them away is going to be very difficult. I'm not certain. So
would you prefer? Would you prefer like keeping them, but always having like on rotation a punishment card in the same way we had Split Heaven and Captain Hook and stuff like that? Some sort of way to balance it out.
Yes. So one of the major things, and Wanderer sort of I've been recently testing Wanderer just for a bit of fun. It's having that format is basically like monocolor, like in the way it's encouraging you to play monocolor, especially with Split Heaven and Earth being in the format. Hook, not so much I believe, but there's currently a new deck with the Time Spinning Witch where it sort of pops your stone on turn 1 if it's a special stone. That's basically what I'm after. I'm after you. If you play a special stone, I mean, not to that same extent. Of course, I want you to have more than one stone in the New Frontiers format. But I want you to be like on turn 5 to be able to be punished for playing that. Even like having a card like Mosasaurus, but instead of targeting the stones that are already tapped, actually tapping them and keeping them frozen for a turn. Even though the card is like 5 mana or 4 mana if you or 5 mana if you summon it. But it's something that keeps it in check instead of just being rampant.
Yeah, I was surprised Mosasaurus was just a flat keep stones rested. I would have think, especially with Hook being banned, they would have gone some sort of anti-special magic stone route for it rather than just the universal theme. So that kind of bummed me out when that came out.
Well, the second ability with the Destroy Target Resonate, I feel like maybe it could have gone away with Destroy Target Rested Special Magic Stone. Like, it wouldn't be that busted.
Yeah.
But it's only one. It's like, it's not that broken, but maybe it would have been enough.
Yeah, especially for having you still have a 15-10 on the field after destroying his stone, so it's still, you get your value out of it. It's like I loved, one of my favorite cards was World Flame Summoning, which, it's a 6 cost technically, but you get rid of stone, and you could take a couple Resonators with you. You don't get any field advantage, but you can get a turn ahead and stuff, so it balances itself out, I think, at the end of the day.
And of course, having Gilal Hamad playing the card, it's a much easier card to get out. You don't feel like you're tapping out 6 mana to pop one stone to kill a Resonator, so makes sense.
That was my favorite, was last year at GP Richardson. I played Soul, and being able to almost every game play turn 2 Ward Flame Summoning was always fun.
Yeah, it's fun in that regard, but it wasn't that backbreaking either. Like from my knowledge, it wasn't like the opponent just simply go, "Oh my god, this is fun, I scooped." No, it was just basically like it's just part of the game, and you were happy with it. You understood that, so
Oh yeah. What I was gonna ask something about Sherry. Oscar, do you have something while I try to remember?
It's off the whole Sherry thing. It's not a Sherry subject, but did you ever get to? I know you said you started in Grim, but have you ever been able to play with or tinker with the Valhalla cards from the original, from when they first came out?
I have Valhalla cards. In fact, I have starter decks. Also the starter decks in a little box here, which is pretty nice. I got a hold of them. But they're still in the starter deck, like so sleeves that originally there, and I put them in. I actually never actually picked up and scrolled through them. I knew I wanted them.
Yeah.
But no, I never really like. I never played with Life Break or anything like that.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to do that. Though by looking at the cards, I think the format is both like really busted if you build a busted deck, but at the same time, it's probably like very like I hit you with the resonator, you hit me back with the resonator, I kill your resonator. It's very like toned down because the cards weren't that spicy. I believe. I think it was very straightforward, but maybe I'm wrong in that regard. So.
No, from what I've seen, it was pretty straightforward. We did some. We attempted to record video some time ago of gameplay between two starter decks, the blue and the green. But we'd be playing, and because the way the rules worked and the way some cards are worded, they're difficult to read. We're like, wait, we messed all that up 3 turns ago. So
I guess it's
we threw that video out.
Just need to have a judge supervise the whole thing at the same time. The video will probably be like 2 hours long of just basically judge rulings and him looking around to the CR hoping to figure it out.
I mean, it was such slow gameplay. Like the video itself was really long for I think one game.
I can see that.
It was crazy.
It's like you're ticking them down, and you finally get them down to a certain point, and then they life break, and then start bouncing back from that, and it's just this slow,
I mean, like that's probably why Life Break doesn't exist anymore. They just scrapped the whole idea.
I'm glad I got rid of it. I'm also glad. I did not know this until about 2 or 3 months ago, that if your J Ruler had died back then it did 2,000 damage to you.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not. What?
Yeah.
What? Okay.
Yeah. So it kind of, in a way, punished even J Activate. You wanted to J Activate, I guess, to win the game, even though some of those abilities on J Activate weren't game-winning abilities. It was just like, cool, you did this, you're a step further, but. Yeah, no, if it died, you lost half your life.
I mean, flavorfully, I guess it can make sense, but gameplay-wise, it's like, yeah, I pulled this cool thing, and now if it dies, I'm basically dead.
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense.
So I was like,
the 2,000 seemed really steep. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say, like, a K, sure, but like, 2K?
Yeah.
Like,
which now that I think about it, they kind of introduced like the essence of that when they introduced Yogg-Sothoth the ruler, right? Because he every time he flips back, he deals damage to you.
But it wasn't
because
2K.
Yogg-Sothoth really needed to be balanced out, so I'm glad they did that. Oh gosh, now I just lost it again.
Wow.
Oscar sparked a question I had. Have you tried Epic Stories at all?
I have not, though I'm a big Commander player in Magic, so I'm kind of like, I don't know, not many people, I think at Locals they tried it once ages ago, and I think they didn't quite play by the rules, so it didn't work out too well. A lot of people said that the combat can be a little bit tricky, well, it doesn't feel as comfortable because you attack with one resonator at a time, so I think like in Magic obviously you attack with all of them at the same time, so you can attack one player or like you divide your attacks, and it's a bit more trickier having to do one at a time attacks. I've not played the format, though having 2 rulers and build around them seems to be really busted. So, but I guess it's singleton, so it can't be that busted, hopefully.
I find it's more
definitely
balanced the more players you have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like if I was to play, you reckon 4 players will probably be the best to start?
Yeah, I think anything over 3 to 5. 5 is kind of push it, but yeah, 3 or 4 players. Only because like somebody makes a broken deck, it's like we're targeting you now. You know, we're gonna make sure you're not progressing as hard as you were. So I feel like
I reckon it'll be something fun to try. Maybe even especially when the people get the starter decks. Like some people maybe like with the Valhalla ones. I'm not sure how well it will work with runes, but like having 2 starter decks seeming to be similar power level, just throw in an epic stories deck with 2 of them and then first the other 2. Just something random like that.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That could be an epic stories deck. Just one.
I don't know how many cards does the starter deck come in. I assume it's like a deck size with a ruler, so it's like you got 80, so you just need to extra for an extra 20. Is it 80 card or is it 100 card format with epic stories?
60 cards.
60. Oh, okay, yeah. So you have basically 2 starter decks gets you an epic stories deck.
Yeah.
Easily with some flexibility. Sweet.
Man, we should really start pitching it that way.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. Like, guys, those are epic stories decks. You're not looking at that.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Epic stories decks waiting to happen. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, I remember now. So speaking of Valhalla, and that whole power level. So are you excited for the new cluster of Valhalla, and especially like them dialing back the power level of the rulers and different things like that? It sounds like.
Definitely. I think it's about time that we don't. I feel like it's nice to sometimes build around your ruler for the theme rather than for the power of it. So having to actually play fun cards with your ruler as something to combine it into a strong deck rather than having this OP ruler and then you're throwing the best cards in and it just simply works because that's just how it works. So having the rulers to be hopefully balanced to some extent due to them wanting to balance it for runes, not exactly sure how they want to do that yet, of course, but if they do make the balance between rulers fairly equal, it will be really, really fun to have the rules on the same page. But then again, some rulers having their moments of glory in the sense of when they flip, they take you back and they sort of like stabilize your board. It is also fun having that interaction. If something goes wrong, your ruler is there to save you, and then perhaps that won't be the case with the new rules coming in, having such strong effects. But I'm excited to have more rulers to choose from than just Sherry.
Oh, yeah. So have you had a chance to look at the new Valhalla website they created for the new set?
I did not. It was launched I think a day ago, right?
Right. So pretty much.
Yeah, I did not have a chance to look into it yet. I just been working, so.
No,
but
I got you.
is it pretty cool?
It is. Something that's a little weird. Colin, did you read through it at all?
I saw bits and pieces. I saw the typo.
There's a lot. This is like, okay, how do I start it? I went and read it all last night, going through them, and I think go to the machine one, the Knights of the Round Table, and read one of those little small paragraphs they have. There's one sentence in there. I was like, none of that made sense. What did I just read? I was like, are we going back to like the way Valhalla translations were? Because it was.
Did they mess up the translation from like the Japanese to English?
Is
that what it was?
Yeah, I don't think they proofread a lot of it. There's simple grammar errors where it said like a instead of an, but there's big parts of it where it's like a sentence did not make any sense because of the way it was translated. Like I didn't understand what they're trying to. I don't even know the point.
I think they fixed some of it. It looks like. I don't know. They have Jeff on staff. Why doesn't he just proofread this?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Also,
does the Italian, for example, the people, do they have a different Valhalla website, or is it everyone uses the same thing?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
I don't know. I see.
I feel like I just opened I'm looking at a website now on the second screen. I just feel like I opened a website to an MMO game, like having that.
Yeah. I like that the font though is like the default font if you like make a website from scratch with HTML and all that.
Home destination cheesy. Oh my god, they all different fonts. What's going on here?
So here's that sentence I was talking about real quick. It says many cards that place +100 counters, but be wary not counters. But be wiles not being beneficial from as these counters.
Did they just Google Translate and stuffed it in?
Wait.
Maybe.
Oscar, are you looking at the Japanese site and having it Google Translate it? Or are you?
I don't know. Am I?
No.
Valhalla.
It has the Jap J-A-E-N. Yeah, it says E-N at the top, so it looks like it's English, but yeah, it's looking at the same sentence and yeah, I think it's just Google Translate it. That's the only thing.
My favorite thing though is you get to Hanzo, which is the green ruler, and they make a point. It says, in general, Hanzo is a good balanced ruler who is a jack of all trades, but a master of none.
Oh really? Is that Sherry's pet? It's just basically we had that. We know what that feels like. It's called OP.
I thought that was great. They had to, for the green ruler, they had to go out of their way to be like, don't worry, this one's good and balanced. Like, it's still jack of all trades. It still technically can do everything. It can't do them like godlike.
Oh my god. Which guys are you most excited for? Like, obviously there's 10 rules to choose from.
Oh.
Like, what's your favorite else?
I'm really pumped for the Egyptian lore stuff. Just because
I love Egyptian stuff.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
when we had Raw revealed, I was like, "Oh, here it comes! We're gonna get cool stuff." And it's like, "No, you're just gonna get Raw," and then they moved on. But seeing this, I'm like, "Okay, cool. I can't wait for all this."
Yeah,
It's really fun. Like, I'm gonna push that deck in Worlds. I'm gonna try to make. Do you guys know it's the Worlds format has been revealed? You guys know what it is, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
saw that.
Yes, okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to make sure that during the classic format, just make sure to push that deck, no matter how bad it is.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited for the Knights of the Round Table androids, because I ran Knights of the Round Table back before it rotated, and I always had a lot of fun with it. And I saw the picture of the android that was the original teaser, and I thought it looked so cool, so I just got super pumped for that.
It's strange that they went for the blue. Like, obviously now it's a round of table. Like, I played during that, playing Gwaine and Arthur and Lancelot and stuff like that. It was used to be traditionally like black, red, red, white, right? And white used to be the dominant theme of the rounds of round table. But why blue?
I think that's coming down to when Jeff had a Q&A stream not long ago, and they said they're going to restructure the whole pie. So they're going to take some stuff away from certain colors and put in other colors and put some other stuff into... So, like, balancing the whole wheel again. I'm assuming that this is what this is coming down to. Like,
Well, and
okay.
you got to think of also their machines as well, and machines have been associated with blue as well. So it might be leaning more towards machine than knights as well.
Oh man, if they're playing like semi-colorless knights that gets cheaper with machines, oh my god, Wonder format, like March of the Machines, it's gonna be like absolutely all over that.
Our machines, I'm afraid to be angry.
No, that would be so good if they actually work with all style machines. They probably won't, but the hopes can be there. So.
You could build a straight up 60 card Epic Stories deck that's all machines then.
Oh, that would be so good.
Even with Valhalla, you can't do that right now. So
yeah. That would be pretty amazing. Though I think they will just simply have a subtype knight or something like that, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah, or
Hopefully
Android,
not.
since it says Android on that description.
That's true. Or Android.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people are excited for the cat. Like, I keep seeing, like, in the US Fossil World chat and everywhere, everyone's just excited for the ninja cats.
Yeah. That's why when I was talking, we had our ARG yesterday, and I'm talking around with everybody's excited about Ninja Cats. Like, who's not gonna run Ninja Cats?
Well, it's green for starters, so hopefully maybe it would be not the best color, and that would be a good start to not running Ninja Cats. But
yeah,
the theme.
I won't run it out of spite. Don't worry.
You just it's green, not interested.
So you're pretty excited for the next cluster.
I'm pretty pumped to make sure that I'm most pumped about two cards rotating out. You probably can guess those two cards. One of them is probably very obvious, Severing Winds. Actually be able to play two spells in a turn, not be more. I feel like during the Worlds format or while testing, it's going to take me at least 5 days to accustom to not playing two cards in the same turn.
Yeah.
When I know, like, I'm going to play around Severing Winds almost like a psychological thing. It's probably been drilled into my mind. And then also be able to flip your ruler and not getting Final Battle for my mana. Like, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, being able to, like, just populate the field now without worrying about Final Battle, as well as playing, like, I'm so excited because I have my Panda deck I'm running right now, which is I switched to just a J Ruler OTK Panda to try and play around Severing and Final Battle and all that type of stuff. But with those two gone, I'm like, with the exception of, all I have to worry about is Lorite to do just a full Resonator Panda deck now and just go all in now. I just have to worry about being Lorited.
I mean, Lorite, like a lot of people said, speaking of Lorite, by the way, I feel like it's a necessary evil to currently have. It's still a bit of too much of a strong card. I think it could have been toned down with a few different tweaks, but it is a necessary evil to have those combo decks in check, those time spinning lists in check, just to make sure that you have a single out to that. Otherwise, I feel the format might be a little bit too rampant with it, just like people comboing you on turn 3 when you have no way to answer it besides the counter spell. But yeah, I totally agree. Having Final Battle gone, I'm probably most excited Final Battle, because at least against Severing Winds you can't play around it. Once you get it drilled into your head, especially during competitive times, if you drill it to your head, you almost feel like it's second nature to to play around Severing Winds. So that's actually how I lost my last round of finals. But besides that, not playing around Final Battle would be nice. So, like,
I forget that's leaving. I'm so excited. But I am sad to see some cards go. Like, I know she never really made a comeback, but Feet Sing was awesome with her Turbo Feet Sing, because I remember that was something I was really into for a bit. But
Yeah.
certain things going, it would be sad to see him go. But
I'm really sad to see Soul go and both of my Milliams go. I'm pretty bummed out about that. I ran, yeah, Soul and Milliam is pretty much all I ran up until Pandas, and I was gonna start running Soul again until they introduced Powerless Dragonoid, and then I was like, well, all right then. So
Well,
I'm pretty bummed out.
at our ARG, one of our locals was saying he was trying to build a Keurig last minute, and then he was like, should I do that or should I do Milliam? I go, Milliam would be fun. If I was approaching this, I'd just go have fun. And then after he picked it, I sat down. I was like, "Oh, I forgot about the Dragonoid card. Oh, no,
Yeah.
he's not gonna have fun."
Milliam 2.0 is what he was running, so just,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Makes sense.
he was able to get the roll off a couple times though, so
That's all,
I was excited to see that. But yeah, no, anything else, Oscar?
No. Well, thank you for being here with us. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no troubles, no troubles.
Sorry for people who don't know the time difference. What time is it for you right now? Because right now
it's
it's
currently
about to be 1 p.m.
just
for
hitting.
us.
Yeah, it's about 1 p.m. It's getting 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh jeez.
So
Yeah, I'm gonna get a couple of hours sleep before work, and that's pretty much it. Already, like I mentioned, I slept already. A little
Right.
bit, so I'm pretty good.
Thank you so much for being here and being able to talk with us. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Absolutely.
Maybe after Worlds, you can let us know how Worlds went. Give us a.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'll be excited to meet a few players from US that I have contact with as well, especially
There you
some
go.
Italian players. To meet those people in real person will be nice. That's true.
That
Well,
would be awesome.
Yeah, but thank you.
All right.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks.
thank you very much. Everyone, have a good one. See you guys.
So yeah, there's that interview. I hope you guys liked it. He's a pretty cool dude. Like I really do hope we get to talk to him again soon, especially after Worlds.
Yeah.
Get his like input and how he enjoyed it and all that.
Yeah.
And then Joe, you
So-
got to find. Sorry, Joe, you got to look over the website, right?
Yeah, it looked really cool. I mean, I feel like there could be some more cool stuff they do. I mean, it's like seems kind of basic, like website.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like our website's a little better than. But,
Yeah, no. In the interview, Colin takes a shot at that. Like, it looks like a basic website when you first start making it, like the default text.
like it's not bad, but it's not like great.
Well, it reminds me of in school, we had to one of our classes we had to build a website using just HTML and like format. So it was basic font, basic everything, and it looks very similar to something we would have made.
Yeah. I mean, the rulers, we kind of got all this information already. I think there's a little bit more
Mhm.
for each ruler. But I mean, like,
It's
stuff
definitely-
like Hanzo, I think is pretty much the same.
Yeah, no, it's definitely just helping build up that. I think the hype to it, the lore, and
But it's
getting
really-
into it. Like I really like the way the zombies sound. Like they just keep coming back. I want to know how and why they keep coming back. Like what is it? Is it good? Is it bad? Like they come back and they're 1/1s or something, but they're dying constantly. I don't know. Like I
It's-
can't wait to see what it is.
It's probably just like you make zombie tokens like in Magic, and then they
God, I
feel
love
like they're
that.
coming
That would be
back.
amazing. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're hyped on. That's really all we had for the week. Colin, do you have anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. The ice cream was really good.
Spoilers are coming up, right?
Yeah, we should have spoilers soon. We don't know when, but obviously we'll do some videos in the evenings that will come out in the evenings for us at least once they'll start up. And is there
Our
anything else
daily
we're doing?
videos.
We want to get back into doing games. We always say that, but we never truly do it. And
The artwork
It's-
looks really good. Like a couple of it reminds me of like Guild Wars. Guild Wars.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
like
yeah.
one or two pictures. It looks really good though.
Yeah.
yeah, but maybe we'll
But-
record some games soon. Maybe me and Joey will record tomorrow. Something.
Yeah, and stream it. I know we're going to be streaming a game with a patron at some point for Epic Stories.
Yep, I think it's next month.
It'll be fun.
And then
Is that next month?
yeah.
Okay.
And then we have the Q&A coming up, right? We were talking about that the other day.
Oh yeah. It might be this Friday. If not, if it doesn't work out, then the following Friday.
What about Saturday? Would Saturday be an issue? I already bet your house.
Maybe.
Oh, but
Let's
Joey,
put a pin in that.
is that
Yeah,
even
we'll
a good
talk
day
about
with you?
Huh? We'll see. We'll talk about it.
We'll figure it out, guys. We'll post it
I feel like Friday.
Discord, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere we can to make sure you guys know about it. And pick a time that works out for you
Appreciate
guys. And thank you for watching. We'll see y'all later.
Thanks.
Bye.